Spring training's here, and we make some predictions. Let's talk about it, Will. What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 70 of Bringing the Heat. My name's Cody Pike, and with me, as always, the fourth-seam fastball co-host, Will Sism. Buddy, 7-0. Isn't that awesome?
How about that, man? 70. That is pretty awesome, if you ask me. Hey, number 70 is going to be a really good one, man. It feels like baseball season is here, which it is. Spring training's here. Draft season is here for most of us. And so, man, we're going to preview the National League and do some other stuff today, but it's going to be a good few weeks.
Man, it's going to be great. You were talking before we hopped on, like we're finalizing the keepers in our home league. I know that's super exciting to kind of iron out all that fun stuff. So, yeah, guys, we are, well, it starts on the 20th of March. So this isn't a math pod or anything, but we're like 23 some odd days. What day is it? It's a leap year. So that means you got to carry the 5. And
right.
Let's get into some baseball news. I think it's time to hop into the news. Dude, one of the Boris 4 is off the board. Bellinger back to the Cubs. This is probably the most predictable of landing spots for the guys left. But the Cubs bring him back on a 3-year, $80 million deal. Opt-outs after every year, which is weird. You got a 30, and then 20. Math is a little funky in there because they include kind of the buyout. So I think it's actually like 27.5 or something. But nonetheless, man, Cody Bellinger had a great year last year. He's getting paid like it. My question for you is, A, what's this mean for the Cubs? And B, did Scott Boras overplay his hand a bit?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I was definitely expecting a little bit different structure of a contract. I thought he would get, wherever it was, I thought he would get a little bit more long-term, at least 5 years is kind of what I had in mind.
Yeah.
Mainly because obviously he had the big bounce back year last year, and I still feel like the bat is going to be, I don't know, kind of hit or miss with him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect him to necessarily repeat last year's number, especially the average. But, what really surprised me is he is a plus defender. I mean, you can stick him either at first or in center field, and you're pretty much getting a Gold Glove talent.
Yeah.
Let's not forget he's a former MVP. Like we said, he basically found it again last year. And, anytime that you're trying to sign a guy like this, there's some risk involved. But yeah, I was a little bit surprised. To answer your question, I do feel like maybe Boras overplayed his hand a little bit.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. With the opt-outs, if he has another massive year or two, he could really be getting a huge payday because, let's not forget, he's still very much in his prime. So
yeah,
he could be hitting, free agency here in another couple of years and getting a gigantic payday.
Well, he's 28. Theoretically, it's kind of weird when you unpack this on every side. I guess it's good for the Cubs.
Yeah.
Because you're not really locked into a long-term deal, even if he
Correct.
opts in. I think we forget, I certainly did, how bad his 2021 and 2022 seasons were. They were terrible. Talk about a 165 average in 21. His OPS 542. And then, he upped it by 100 in 22, but that's still only an OPS of 654.
Yeah.
And you'll remember after that, the Dodgers said, I don't want to pay him $18 million his last year in ARB. We'll just, we'll let him go. And he got kind of a pillow contract with the Cubs. And then he had one heck of a year, man.
Yeah.
For Belly.
And also, let's not forget, too, he was coming off a pretty major injury. I think it was his shoulder.
Yeah.
When he had those down years. So maybe that played a little bit into it. But, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Do you remember it was the NLCS? He jumped up and did that celebration, hurt his shoulder. I'll never forget that, man. He was on track, and maybe he's back on track, like you said. It's going to be interesting, man. It feels like the Cubs kind of realize they're bidding against themselves. He's not going back to the Dodgers. Red Sox aren't spending money.
Right.
Once Soto went to the Yankees, he's not going there.
Yep.
I don't know. It makes sense on every side. The Cubs have Pete Crow Armstrong, who they love, top
Yep.
prospect. He was going to be penciled in as center field. So, yeah, we'll see. I think if he has a great year, he'll opt out again, and we'll be talking about this in the 2025 offseason. So, yeah, but good for Bellinger, good for the Cubs.
Yep.
And, yeah, we'll see if he can run it back, do it all over again. After that, other big piece I want to talk to you about, and then, we'll run through some hit and run stuff, Will. Early spring training, pitching injuries, okay? I think I might have said it on the show. I've certainly said it in real life a time or two. You just get to spring training, you start holding your breath because these starting pitchers are ramping up. And we got some 4 big names, guys, who have gone down. And I have drafted all but one on fantasy teams. So it's a little bit tough. I guess that's what you get for going early. But Kyle Bradish, partial UCL tear, and he's going to start the season for Baltimore on the IL. This is a guy, he had the best second half in baseball in terms of ERA. I mean, he was unbelievable. Justin Verlander for Houston, he reportedly said that he was ramping up and his shoulder didn't feel right. So essentially he's just going to take a seat and give it some more time. He is likely, or I guess not likely, but he hasn't ruled out opening day, so that's probably good. Kodai Senga for the Mets, he's diagnosed with a posterior capsule strain in his right pitching shoulder. They're shutting him down for 3 weeks, so he'll have to start essentially 2 weeks before opening day. He'll have to start at square one, so he's not going to be ready. And then Walker Buehler, remember, he's coming off of Tommy John. And so what it essentially is they were hoping he'd be ready for opening day, but it's going to have to do a slow ramp up, and it's very unlikely. He's not going to pitch in spring training, so that does not bode well for the start of the season. But hey, all 4 of these guys are guys that A, are going lower in drafts, and B, you can stash on the IL if you got a lot of IL spots. Will any of this scare you a little bit, or just food for thought?
How about all of the above? I mean, golly, this is the one downside of spring training is, every year, every single year, you have a handful of injuries, especially with pitchers, and it's a big deal. Obviously in fantasy, it's a big deal for us, but especially when we're talking about these teams. These are all, key guys in each of those respective rotations, and the issue is it's all either elbow or shoulder.
Yeah.
Which is certainly troubling. Obviously with Bradish, anytime you hear UCL, man, that's sets off some alarm bells. And you said it. He was incredible last year, especially in the second half. And, I'm sure Baltimore was hoping that he would be the true number 2 behind Corbin Burns. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
Kodai Senga, man, you talk about a guy who was great second half last year, man. That's a big deal. We'll see how that progresses.
Yeah.
Verlander, we've said age is not on his side now. Like these injuries feel like they're getting more frequent at this point. So hopefully, I'm sure the Astros will take a cautious approach with this.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised if he starts the year on the IL and they give him all the time they need.
Sure.
And then last but not least, maybe the one that I'm a little bit, I don't know what the word is, but apprehensive about is Buehler, because if you remember last year, there was talk that he was ramping up to try to help them in the postseason.
Exactly.
And here we are, what is that, 4 or 5 months later, which, I had it in my brain before this news came out that Walker Buehler was going to be like ready to roll with basically no restrictions going into this year. And this gives me a little bit of cause for pause. I don't know if there's been a setback or what, but I don't love that news coming out if you're in the Walker Buehler camp.
Yeah. I haven't read about any kind of setback. It just says he just doesn't feel right, doesn't feel ready. And this is kind of baseball sicko I am. I was watching some 2021 and 2020 like playoff games, and Walker Buehler was pitching in it. Dude, he is disgusting. He's gross.
Yes, he is.
We forget because we haven't seen him dang near since 22. Dude's a real freaking deal. And so when
Yeah.
he gets right, when he gets ready, he's going to do something spectacular, I believe. It's all he's ever done. That's a big one for those Dodgers. And I mean, that's the hat I'm donning. You might be wondering if you're on the YouTube side of things. It's because Ohtani went deep in his first spring training game. Just flipped it right over the left field fence. It was unbelievable. Pretty dang cool, man. Lots of cameras out, ready to see Ohtani. I think it's just going to be a trend. I hope he can stay healthy and he does big things in LA with my man Mookie. But back to Bueller, man. This rotation just I don't know. Well, actually, you know what, guys? We're going to talk National League preview here in moments, so maybe I'll save it for then. So stay tuned. It's we'll see. The Bradish one probably makes me the most nervous. Bradish and Senga, just because, dude, a UCL strain is a partial tear.
Yep.
So at that point, you either get it fixed or you pitch and pray that it doesn't tear all the way. So I don't, and they have not come out. It's too early, and they haven't come out and said what exactly they want to do. Just kind of Bummersville. So let's move on. Let's move on to some better news. We're gonna do a little hit and run, and there's I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 different points. So I'll break them into 4 and 4. That's easier for me, Will. First thing, Soler to the Giants. Jorge Soler, that is, on a 3-year, $42 million deal. Thought the Red Sox were going to be in on this guy. They're not, Will. They're not in on anybody, buddy. So that's a bummer. And, okay, moving on. TA to the Marlins. Tim Anderson. He's got a 1-year, $5 million prove-it deal after, just a knockout of a year last year in 2023.
Yeah.
Been waiting to make that joke all day, guys. Very interesting note I heard whilst listening to the Marlins playoff game, or a playoff spring training game this afternoon. Dude, it'll be Arise and TA in that lineup, back-to-back batting champs, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Kike going back to the Dodgers, and Xander moving from shortstop to second base. Kind of interesting core 4 there of bullet points. Anything standing out to you?
Yeah, a couple little interesting tidbits. I would say Soler to the Giants. If you're the Giants fan, I feel like, I don't know, maybe this is just me, but I was hoping that the Giants would do a little bit more this offseason. I guess they could still get Blake Snell, but we'll see what happens there. But, Soler, it is what it is. He's obviously going to add probably a much needed power boost to that lineup, so I think that could be helpful.
Yeah, I got one for you.
Go for it.
When's the last time San Francisco batter hit 30 home runs in a season? And do you know who it was? I heard this the other day.
Ooh. The name that comes to mind for whatever reason is Brandon Belt, but that's probably not correct.
How about Barry Bonds in 2004?
Really? Wow.
So this is a team thirsting for a power bat. I know. I was like,
wow.
Buster Posey had to knock 30.
No.
He won the MVP. Didn't realize he didn't do it. Yeah.
That's crazy. That is a long time, especially in today's power-enriched game.
It's true. 2019, somebody couldn't knock some of the juice balls out, Will. Yeah, see, done blew Will's mind. We'll have to end this episode early because it's
crazy.
That's a nutty stat.
That's 20 years ago.
I agree.
Okay.
I was young pup then.
Wow. Okay. So that's interesting. But no, again, I've been honestly a little bit disappointed in the Giants this offseason. Hopefully Soler will definitely help that lineup. Mm-hmm. As far as the other news items you mentioned, I think, until Tim Anderson proves to me that he's not a shell of himself, like that doesn't really do much for me. I hope he bounces back, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Kike, the Dodgers just love that guy. So he'll be just a super utility for him, and, I'm sure he'll be effective. And last thing, it is interesting. Xander Bogaerts moving to second base, and basically because of Ha-Seong Kim. I just think it's crazy how in just over a year's period of time, Xander Bogaerts has gone from 11-year, $280-something million contract going to this, what we thought was a super team in San Diego, to almost a little bit of an afterthought. And it's just really weird to me how it's kind of spiraled ever since he left Boston in a way. So,
That's what I'm saying. Don't leave Beantown. Don't do
obviously, I'm not saying like he's done or, I hope he kind of has a bounce back year a little bit, but I just don't. There's just something amiss in San Diego, and I don't know if anybody knows what it is.
Yeah. Well, it's the most perplexing thing to me about it is they just did this with Tatis. You lock him up to this
Right.
crazy long deal to be your shortstop.
Right.
And, contrary to popular belief, like when you sign somebody to be your shortstop, there's money invested into that because you're the shortstop. There's not a lot of $280 million second basemen
Right.
in Major League Baseball. And so that's why it's so weird to me. You take Tatis, you move him from shortstop to right field. He goes out, wins a platinum glove his first year. What an athlete.
Yeah.
So, but maybe it'll work out just as good. I don't think Xander, I'm like, thinking back in the memory bank, I don't think he was a bad defender. Now, it could be because he was standing next to Devers all those years.
That's
With
true.
Devers, you got to hold your breath, and cross your fingers and toes when he's throwing it across the diamond. But, it's very interesting. Kike, like I said, glue guy, love him. And then TA, I don't know. It's just
we'll see.
Weird. We will see.
Yeah.
Bated breath.
And to close the book real quick on Xander.
Yeah.
Dude, I think we kind of first guessed this a year ago. I think we both kind of said this, but man, it feels like that contract is not going to age well whatsoever.
Yeah. The Red Sox wanted to give him 120 over 6.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I was like, that's obviously not going to get the job done.
Right.
They're looking like geniuses now.
Yes.
I mean, this still, I don't know. It's crazy how in seemingly the blink of an eye, San Diego goes from like, we got the deepest pockets to
what have we done?
We got to start moving people. It's like they
think about how bad. I know it's just 1 year, but think about how bad as of right now the Xander Bogaerts contract looks for San Diego and how bad the Carlos Correa contract looks for the Twins. Like, it is going to be crazy to see if either of those guys can somewhat bounce back to where it's just not like we don't look back at this 5 years from now and be like, those were some of the worst contracts that were made in recent memory.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, two things, then we have to move on. To me, Carlos, it's only 5 more years. I mean, we're talking 9 more seasons of Xander, dude. He will be 40 at the end of this contract. And then one thing I wanted to mention with the belly thing, the whole 30-30-20, first thing it reminded me of was the first go around with Carlos Correa in Minnesota, where he did like the 35-35 thing because they wanted him to opt out again. So very interesting to see how it works out. Moving on. Manuel Margot, he got traded to the Dodgers. He got the blue threads. Might have went shopping around for condos, apartments, and they said, nope. How about you go to the reigning, defending American League Central champion Twins? He probably leaped at the chance. He was so excited because he's traded for a prospect shortstop, Noah Miller. Pretty exciting stuff. Pittsburgh extend homegrown, and now he's staying at home, Mitch Keller to a 5-year, $77 million deal. Yep. And then a couple little deals. Let's just talk about them. Gio Urshela to the Tigers, kind of bolster that infield, $1.5 million, and then Liam Hendriks in a move that will turn this franchise around. 2 years, $10 million to my Red Sox. He's not going to pitch this year. He might pitch the latter half. They're saying late August. Anything before we move on to predictions, Will?
I mean, I would say Liam Hendriks. First of all, he's one of my favorite dudes to watch. I just hope his recovery continues to go well. But I do look forward to seeing him pitch for the Red Sox at some point, whenever that is.
Yeah.
But as far as the main thing for me, as far as those topics go, man, I really, I never thought I'd say this about a year ago, but I love what the Pirates kind of have cooking right now. I feel like the Pirates are finally somewhat on the right track. I don't think they're quite there yet to win the division, but I love how they're starting to lock up some of their homegrown guys. They finally re-signed Reynolds a year ago.
Yeah.
And they've done this with Keller after Keller showed a lot of promise last year. So,
Yeah.
And I know 77 million is a lot of money, but it's not insane money by Major League Baseball standards. So,
Correct.
um, I just want to say I love kind of the direction that the Pirates are going, and it feels like they're making it a priority to sign some of their, the guys that they've developed. And I love that, and I think that's how they're going to have to compete. And hey, everybody's hyped up about Paul Skeens. Hopefully, at some point, he makes his debut later this year. But locking up Mitch Keller, I think, is a big deal for that franchise. So way to go, Pirates.
Yeah, I like it. And one thing popped in my head, Will, what a difference a great April will make. They were 20-9 to start the year last year, and it went from Brian Reynolds.
It gave them hope.
Yeah, and Brian Reynolds saying, like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
Remember, for the longest time, it was like, this is going to be the Yankees center fielder.
Right.
And then, they're like, no, you're going to be here until you reach free agency in 3 years. And then he signs that contract after and Pittsburgh's always been that way, man. They have incredible fans. I remember that wild card game against Cincy in the early 2010s. They really do, man. We got to get a good baseball team there because they got it going on. And I really think they felt that in April, and I agree. I second everything you're saying. I love it. And I think it is the perfect segue to talking about this National League.
Yes.
It's going to be great. This is going to be a great year, man. I'll be honest. I was looking over all this fun stuff, and I'm like, man, we're just ready for baseball. I don't know if you guys can hear it in our voices. What we're going to do is we're going to do our division predictions. We're going to talk about each division. We're going to take our time, let it breathe. But we'll give you our predictions for each division. Then we'll hit the wild card, our predictions for the NLCS, and then who we think the National League champion will be. After that, we'll go Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, and MVP of the National League. And I know what you're thinking. Where's the American League? Next week, American League 71. So if you want to know who we think is going to win the World Series, we'll let you know in that one. So if you're listening to this, we appreciate you. Click on to 71 here in a little bit. Will, let's talk National League East, buddy. Man, this is a one beast of a division, very top heavy. You got, I'll just go over the division from last year. You had the Atlanta Braves taking the crown. 104-58 was their record. The Phillies, 14 games back, second place, first wild card spot, 90-72. Marlins, 84-78. And then you got your New York Mets, 75-87, and then the Washington Nationals nationaling it up at 71-91. Obviously, it's not going to be exactly the same, but as you look at the NL East in 2024, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, you said it. It's definitely very top heavy. I think, clearly the best two teams, and honestly, I think they're two of the top three teams in the National League is the Phillies and the Braves. And I just think, as long as health doesn't derail these two teams, I think these are going to be the major players in the National League to go against the Dodgers. I think when you look at the Phillies, that rotation is still stacked. You've got Zach Wheeler pitching for a new contract. You've got Aaron Nola looking to kind of bounce back off a little bit of a down year for him by his standards. Mm-hmm. You've got Bryce Harper fully healthy, ready to roll going into the year, which he was not a year ago. Don't forget that. And they have a bad taste in their mouth. They got beat by the Diamondbacks in the the National League Championship Series when everybody just assumed that the Phillies were going to win it. Yeah. So I think the Phillies are going to come out super motivated. I think they're ready to take the division crown for the Braves. I think that their main focus obviously is going to be on the playoffs, but I think they will have a renewed focus on trying to win the division. Yeah. And hopefully avoid the Dodgers until the NLCS. So here's kind of the way I see this playing out. I think the Braves are the perfect regular season team. Okay. I think the Braves are going to slightly beat out the Phillies in this division to take another NL East crown. I think the Phillies are going to be a super close second, though. I don't think you're going to see a 14-game gap like you did see a year ago.
Yeah.
So I think those two teams are going to be neck and neck, and they are going to absolutely run away the division. As far as the rest of the division, I think the Marlins are going to take a big step back this year. I think not having Sandy Alcantara is a really big deal, not only for production on the field. I just think he's a leader on that team. He's a leader in the clubhouse. Not having him out there every fifth day, I think is going to be a big deal to that type of a team. So
Yeah.
I don't see the Marlins as a playoff team this year. The Mets, who the heck knows what you're going to get out of the Mets? Like, is Pete Alonso going to be there all year, or is he going to get traded?
Great question.
Like, we don't know. This feels like a total reboot of a year for the Mets. So, I've got the Marlins and the Mets kind of in the same boat. I don't think either one of them is going to quite make it to a 500 baseball team. The Nationals, I tell you what, man, if you're looking to buy stock and you're buying low on a team, I'm not saying they're gonna do anything this year, but man, put a little bit of stock in the Nationals over the next few years. I think you're going to see continued improvement. If Dylan Cruz makes his MLB debut later in the year, I think he is going to be a stud. James Wood, who they got in one of those trades a couple of years ago, it might have been the Soto trade. I just think the Nationals, you may not see it this year, but I think in the next couple of years, I think they're going to be the team to watch in this division to possibly rise up and maybe sort of challenge the Phillies and Braves. But really, it's a two-team race if I can sum it up, and I'm going to just take the Braves slightly over the Phillies in the East this year.
Yeah. That's a great call, man. I got the Braves too. To me, it's an easy pick. They are the most complete team, and I feel like, just combing through when I was kind of writing these predictions down, just combing through like, okay, which team has the potential? You know what I mean? Because the Braves core is locked up through like 2029,
right?
And so it's starting to feel like, unless some kind of catastrophic injury happens to
like
more
multiple.
It's gonna have to be, dude. They're unbelievable. It's an unbelievable team. They got this extremely young core locked up. Harris, Strider, Riley, Acuna, Olsen. There's people I'm leaving out, to the point where they can just kind of have fun on the margins. They've been doing it all off season. It's the Braves, and I'm afraid it's not going to be that close. To me, I agree with everything you said about the Phillies. That's a team that can get you excited. I think they're going to be closer, but I still feel like the Phillies are probably going to be like 10 games out. Now, I think they're going to be okay with that because they could be primed to do what they've done the last two playoff runs, which is like, okay, we'll see you in the division series.
Yeah.
And, you enjoy your early vacation.
Right.
I think they're like, okay, we'll be the little brother, because let me tell you something. They meet in October.
The Phillies are built for the postseason.
And if they meet in October, pressure's not going to be on the Phillies.
Right.
It's going to be on the Braves.
Yep.
Hardcore.
Yep.
So, yeah. But, and then I agree with the rest of the stuff you said as far as I think the bottom three could be pretty tight. I still have Washington pinned at the bottom because I just feel like that rotation got a lot of youth, but I don't know, like, does it have the legs to go a full 162? And I'm with you on the Mets. The Mets are so interesting because on one hand you keep hearing, okay, this isn't our year, we're not going to compete. Mets fans aren't happy about that because 24 or 12 months ago it was all, we're getting JV, we're getting Max, and we're going to compete every year. We're going to throw oodles and oodles of money at stuff. And now, I don't know, like, what if they get Juan Soto? This is future Bringing the Heat episodes.
Yeah.
But dude, I sent Will a screenshot, guys, of like the top 10 pitcher free agents going into next year. It's pretty freaking juicy. And then Will said on the offensive side, Soto's going to be there. So it's going to be an all-out It's going to be awesome. Somebody's getting $50 million. That's my prediction, but we'll talk about that later. I'll take the Braves in the East. In the Central, let's look at what happened last year. The Milwaukee Brewers took the win, 92-70. They were 9 games up on the second place Cubs, who were 83-71. The upstart Cincinnati Reds, 82-80. That's pretty sweet. They were over 500. I love to see it. Pittsburgh Pirates, 76-86. And in what probably was the biggest surprise in all of baseball last year, except for Oakland. I really thought Oakland was going to go, but we'll talk about that next week. The St. Louis Cardinals, dead last, 71-91. How does Ollie Marmol still have a job? Your guess is as good as mine. Well, they got a lot of talent on that team. Who's taking the crown this year, bud?
Man, here's the thing. You could make a somewhat of a legitimate argument for almost every team in this division. You really could.
No doubt.
Golly, this one's tough. I mean, here's what I'll say. I think that I think the Brewers are the team that's going to take the major step backwards in this division. Mm-hmm. This feels like a total reboot on our hands. Even though they may not say it, it just feels that way. I am excited about Jackson Cheerio potentially starting in center field. Mm-hmm. You know, they still got Freddie Peralta as kind of the key guy in the rotation. Devin Williams at the back end of the bullpen. William Contreras has shown a lot of promise. Mm-hmm. But I just don't love the direction that the Brewers are headed in. When you lose your stars, those top 2 starting pitchers they had, Woodruff and Burns, mm-hmm. you don't get better by losing those 2 guys. I don't care who you are. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the Brewers are going to be the team that goes backwards. You know, the rest of the division is really interesting, though. I would have loved to have seen the Reds make a couple of more moves to mainly solidify the pitching rotation around those young guys. I've been clamoring for this for the past, 8 months, and I feel like it, other than signing Frankie Montas, who's coming off a major injury, I don't see the Reds really doing that much to really capitalize on this insane talent that's all coming up. Like, people keep comparing them to Baltimore, but it's like, you got to supplement this talent with some guys around them, you know?
They were like a step below Baltimore. I thought it was a good comparison until Baltimore went out and got Burns. But, you know, that they need an arm. They got all this young talent, and they need an arm.
Yeah.
Trade 7 or 8 of your infielders for a viable starter.
Yeah. So anyways, I don't know what to make of the Reds yet. To me, they got to prove that they can win over the course of 162 games. So for that reason, I'm a little skeptical. The Cubs, man, I really want to like the Cubs, but I just feel like there's a lot of holes still in that roster.
Oh yeah.
You know, behind Justin Steele in the rotation, I don't really know what I'm getting. The lineup feels like it has holes in it. The bullpen has leaks in it. So I don't know yet what to make of the Cubs. The Pirates, I feel like, are a year away from really being a contender. I love the direction they're going, but let's see Paul Skeens come up. Let's see Mitch Keller build on what he showed us last year. Let's see if some of their young hitters can be consistent.
Yeah.
But the team in this division, you said it, I think the Cardinals are the team that if they come out and show in the first 3-4 weeks of the season that, hey, we're back, we're the players in this division, I think they should easily be the best team in this division. At least the team, at least the team that's ready to win. If they come out and they do what they did last year, Marmol should be gone after the first 60 days of the season.
Yeah.
But I think it's the Cardinals' division to lose. They went out and made this plunge to get Sonny Gray. Everybody has said they got to get pitching. They went out and got Sonny Gray. Not
Kyle
say Sonny
Gibson.
They got. I mean, hey,
Lance Lynn.
I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Sonny Gray answers some of their questions. but I just don't see any other team in this division that's really taken a big step forward.
Yeah.
And so I just think the Cardinals have to bounce back or else, or if they don't bounce back, everybody in that front office is going to lose their job. The manager's going to lose their job. Their veterans are going to get traded to contenders. So I'm going Cardinals. I'm going Cubs. I'm going Reds. And I'm going Pirates, Brewers.
Dang, dude, you're flipping the Brewers and the Cardinals, huh?
Yep.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
I think Devin Williams is going to get traded for a king's ransom at the trade deadline.
Go to the Red Sox. Go to the Red Sox.
Maybe.
And, you can have Devers. That's what they want to do. They just want to let's get rid of all the payroll. Devers came out and he said, everybody knows what we should have done. Did you see that? That was pretty awesome. We'll talk about it later. Yeah. Dude, what a stud. He's like, I got my $333 million.
That needed to be said. Good on him.
I was like, I love this guy. No, but back to your decision. Hey, that's very interesting. I went a different way. But let me tell you something. Peeling back for a second. If the Cardinals do what they did last year, I'm going to need a 30 for 30 stat on what the heck happened. Because there's so much talent on this team, and it was just bad. It just went away. I mean, I'd hate to say Molina left and it just went to crap, but that's what happened.
Yeah. They've got to rebound. That's the only reason why I'm saying that they're going to win the division. They have to rebound.
Yeah. Hey, I can see it, but here's what I'm saying is going to happen, and it's just kind of blind faith. I like the Cubs. I like the Cubs for this division. I like their lineup over St. Louis. I know St. Louis has Goldie. I know they have Arenado. But this is going to sound silly, but I like the youth. I like Nico Horner, Ian Happ, Cody Bellinger coming back. Really made this decision a whole lot easier for me because at that point I was like, I don't think anybody's going to want to win this puppy. They got Michael Busch from the Dodgers. I'm excited to see what happens there. You're dead on about the rotation, man. Nothing gets me excited. You still got Kyle Hendricks kicking around. He's the lone piece from the 2016 World Series. It's just like, what, we got to do something with this pitching staff. But the
bullpen scares me to death.
I think I like the Hector Neris move, and I think Azalea is pretty nasty. But you're right. I mean, there are holes up and down this pitching staff. I just don't think the Cardinals is any better. When I look at the Cardinals rotation, they went out and signed Sonny Gray. He had an incredible year. I got him on a bunch of teams, and I really hope he plays well. But, I mean, dude, listen to this. This is the oldest average age of a rotation. But you got Sonny Gray at 34, and then Michaelis 35, Gibson 36, Lance Lynn. I mean, he got shelled. He was throwing beach balls up to people last year, 36.
Look for a guy like Matthew Liberatore. They need a guy like him to infuse some youth and talent into that rotation. Hopefully a guy like Liberatore, or they've also got a big-time prospect that's a pitcher. I can't think of his name offhand, but if one of those two guys can really step up, I think the Cardinals – I think the Cardinals could really make some noise this year.
Yeah. Listen, I've seen the Liberatore song and dance before. We watched him. He played against the Sounds. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah, he got shelled against them.
He did.
But maybe he was working on something. Who knows? You can't really pay too much about that. It's going to be close, guys. I'm not saying it's a landslide at all. This was the closest decision. I don't know. I think what it's going to be is a race to 500 at the halfway mark. And then who makes the move to the trading deadline? That's my belief here.
Yeah.
It's not my belief for this next division, the NL West, dude. The Dodgers. They won 100 games, and they won the division. 162, second place. The Arizona Diamondbacks, 84 victories, 78 losses. Padres 82-80 after a strong finish. The San Francisco Giants 79-83, and then 41 games back of first place. The Colorado Rockies playing in the most beautiful stadium in Major League Baseball. 59 wins and 103 losses. This is a slam dunk, isn't it, Will?
It sure seems that way. The Rockies finishing last. So
That's right.
I mean, I mean, I think that's the surest bet of just about anything is probably to pick the Rockies to finish last. But as far as the top of the division, I mean, obviously, I mean, I don't know anybody who's not going to pick the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I think with the Dodgers, I think maybe the best conversation to have is what could potentially go wrong. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you're a Dodgers fan, what's the one thing that you're scared of? And I think that the answer to that question is health of the rotation.
Corbin Carroll.
Well, that's a good one too. But I would say, I mean, look at the rotation as it stands right now. Let's start with Tyler Glasnow. I mean, I know as well as anybody, man. I love the guy. He was in Tampa for a number of years and was awesome when he was on that mound. But there was a lot of time periods to where he was not able to get on that mound because of injury. Mm-hmm. So, there's one guy, and he's a key piece in that rotation. Yoshinobu, he's not pitched an inning yet in Major League Baseball. So, I get that he's a $300 million man. Let's see. Yeah, let's see how this all translate to regular season Major League Baseball. Mm-hmm. Walker Buehler, we talked about at the top of the show. Man, I do not love that news coming out. Like, it could be nothing. Mm-hmm. Could be a total cautious approach. But I don't love that coming out just because I thought he was ramping up last year to be in the playoffs for them. Yeah. And they shut it down, obviously. But this is 4 or 5 months later. And for that news to come out that he is not going to do anything for a little bit in the spring, like, I don't like that. Yeah. So my biggest worry about the Dodgers is, can the rotation hold up? Yeah. Obviously they got Bobby Miller. He has a ton of talent, but he got shelled in a bunch of starts last year too. Yeah. So here's the thing. Do I think the Dodgers are going to win the division? Yes. Yeah. How can they not with the all-star team they've put together? But when it comes to the postseason, it might not be a sure thing. As far as the rest of the division,
Who do you like more, Arizona or San Diego? That's what I've been curious.
That's a great question. I was just about to say, like, I mean, obviously it feels so fresh still that the Diamondbacks were in the World Series, but I still don't know exactly if that was a flash in the pan type thing, like lightning in a bottle, or if it's sustainable. So, I want to see Corbin Carroll build on what he did in his rookie year and continue to get better. I don't want us to think of Corbin Carroll in a couple of years and be like, man, I wish he was the player he was as a rookie, Yeah. So can Corbin Carroll continue to progress and be the franchise cornerstone, which we all think he will? Mm-hmm. Same thing with Zach Gallen. Is Zach Gallen going to continue to get better and solidify himself as basically a year after year after year Cy Young contender? Yeah. And I think if the answer is yes to those two questions, the Diamondbacks are the second best team in the division. Yeah. If the answer is no or maybe, then you do maybe have to look at San Diego. Mm-hmm. Having said that, I don't trust San Diego whatsoever. Yeah. Especially losing Soto. So
a big loss.
Yeah. I'm going to go Diamondbacks 2, Padres 3, Giants 4, Rockies 5.
I think that's a pretty solid bet, dude. I went Dodgers. I think I would have picked him before they spent $1.3 billion with a B this offseason. They are going to be fun to watch. My biggest qualm, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, it's like, I need their games to start before 8:30 our time. I can go out and watch one Shohei at bat, and then I'm off to sleep. But pretty great. They're gonna. I honestly think if everything goes correct, we could have like a 116 watch on our hands. But it's just like when I talked about the Phillies, man. They're not worried. They're not even concerned with regular season baseball. they're just like, okay, let's get to the finish line, and then you start the tournament that is October. Yeah, they're disgusting. I've been kind of combing over the uh, the rosters between Arizona and San Diego because I'm like, okay, first place is a lock. Who's
Yeah.
in second? I do, man. I hate to say it. I don't know why I hate to say it because I think it just feels like you said, it just happened. But Arizona, man, they went out and made some moves this year.
Yeah.
I love the Erod deal. You know,
Yes.
they really went out and they said, okay, we need a solid. Doesn't have to be top of the line. He's not bad, but he's a perfect 3 starter
Yes.
behind Gallen and Kelly. I just
Yep.
think he's perfect. You know, let Brandon Pfaadt breathe a little bit. Don't
Right.
put all that pressure on him, even though he has shown flashes. I think Arizona's bullpen is absolutely, I mean, the best bullpen. I mean, if you got a guy like Sal Frank, I mean, we got to talk about Sal. Oh, that guy can't throw the ball not in the ground. It's hilarious. No, but seriously, Ginkle and Seawald is pretty nasty. That's a good. They're not the best. I just saw Sal Frank's name and got excited. That's no lie. That really just happened. And yeah,
Gabby Moreno is a stud. I love that guy.
Oh man, their whole team, dude. I think Christian Walker is sneaky, undervalued at first base in fantasy drafts. They just got a bunch of ball players, man.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's see what happens. You know, they might have a little Philly syndrome in them too. Like, okay, Dodgers, like that might be your best shot when you're going up against, and it is. I mean, when you're going up against a team like the Braves and the Dodgers, I was like, let's just see who can win 3 games first.
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't know. To earn the right to play those games, guys, you're going to have to make the wild card, and that's what we're going to talk about next. Will, your 3 wild card predictions, buddy.
Oh,
what do you got?
So I'm going to say number 1 is the Phillies. I think that's the absolute easiest choice. If I'm going to say that the Braves win the division, I'm going to say that the Phillies are obviously the first wild card.
Okay.
As far as the second wild card, I'm going to go Arizona just because I think they're going to finish second to the Dodgers.
Okay.
Which is really interesting. I've got the first 2 wild card teams as that's the National League Championship Series from last year,
right?
As the first 2 wild cards, and then I'm gonna say, I feel like it might be another NL West team, honestly,
Really?
whether it's the Giants or the Padres.
No Central love.
I just honestly don't have any faith in those Central teams. I really don't. You know what? I'm gonna reverse, and I'm gonna say the Giants end up finishing third somehow, some way in the West over the Padres.
Yeah,
because I don't trust the Padres either. And I'm gonna say the Giants are the last wild card team. So 3 teams out of the NL West get in the playoffs.
I like it, dude. I'm with you. Lockstep with the first 2. Phillies, D-backs.
Mm-hmm.
Not a ton to talk about there. Phillies are looking to do, go for the hat trick. Let's go wild card, and then will or Nola you in a 5-game set, and good luck with that. And then, like we said, D-backs for everything you just said. My 3rd wild card team. Everybody's Cincinnati Reds. Okay, and here's why. Okay, ownerships, they're going to sit up. They're going to see a packed Great American Ballpark, 35,000 people in the stands. They're going to say, we got to do something about this. We got these young pups out here doing big things, doing great things. Ellie's going to hit 260, 270, still 45 bags, hit 35 home runs. They're going to say, we got to make a move. They're going to be in at the deadline purely because of this offense. Noelvi Marte, I really like saying that dude's name. He's going to do big things. They're going to say, we got to make a move. We got to make a move because, Hunter Green, he ain't cutting it. Graham Ashcraft, that ain't it.
Lord.
All right. Not saying they're just not 1 and 2. They just can't be 1 and 2. Hunter Green is the pitching equivalent of Jazz Chisholm. Like he's a lot of flash, but like, I need you to do something.
Yeah.
You got to do something, buddy. So they're going to go out and they're going to trade for somebody. Dylan Cease is going to be the next. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. His price tag is way too high, but they'll make a move for somebody. and I think they'll make a push and they'll get that third wild card
I
spot.
hope you're
Will.
right. Like I really do hope you're right. I've got some buddies that are Reds fans, and I've always followed them because we live in the South. So I mean, the Reds games have always been on. When I was a kid growing up, you'd always see the Reds and the Braves
Yeah.
in this part of the country, and so man, I maybe another pillar of this episode or this show, like we've talked
Yeah.
about getting talent around Bobby Witt and holding the Orioles accountable. Maybe we
yeah.
also need to hold the Reds accountable because, with this kind of talent coming up all at once, man, I just don't want to see a team waste this. And so
No.
I hope you're right.
Yep. Matt McLean. I haven't said his
Yeah.
name yet. He's
Christian
on
Encarnacion Strand.
Yep.
Steer.
Alek Manoah. No one's. He hit 3 people today, Will. I didn't know that. I texted Will. He gave up 4 earned runs in 2 innings pitched or 1 inning pitched. Not a great debut for Alek Manoah, but he hit 3 people. Oh, man, I have to send you a video I saw later. Okay, Will, we've talked wild card. We've talked division. NLCS matchup, buddy. Who's playing for the right to go to the World Series?
Man, I want to go with the easy answer here and say we finally get Dodgers Braves.
I'll do it, so you don't have to.
But man, I have a feeling that at least one of those teams is going to get tripped up because here's the thing, at least in my mind right now, assuming that those 2 teams do what we think they're going to do, win over 100 games, kind of comfortably win their respective divisions.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that's underrated about the playoffs, man. The teams like that, especially who got bounced last year really early, they are going to feel all the pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, all the pressure. And here's the thing. I said this last year. I don't know if the Braves are perfectly built for the playoffs like they are for the regular season. So I'm going to say it happens again. I'm going to say Phillies, Dodgers.
Oh, dang.
Phillies, Dodgers in the NLCS.
Wow.
Again, all the pressures on the Dodgers. I'm going to say the Phillies go back to the World Series.
Wow.
Phillies back to the World Series.
All right. Well, I'm going to write it down because I like it. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see that matchup. That would be very exciting. I went slam dunk, dude. I said, give me Dodgers and Braves. Pump it into my veins.
I'd love to see it. 7
games. It'd be incredible. You're right. I mean, it's always like, you always hear, would you like the Golden State Warriors or the field a couple years ago? I'm like, I'll take the field. There's a lot of stuff that can happen and someone else can squeeze in and get the W. Dude, I just had the most hilarious thought, and it's made me giggle. Do you realize who started game 2 of that NLDS last year for the Dodgers? Without thinking about it too hard, if you have a guess.
Was it Lance Lynn?
It was Lance freaking Lynn, dude.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen this year, okay? No. I'm telling you. I mean, if they have it their way, you got guys coming back. You got Kershaw. You got Buehler. This team has depth in the minors, So it's I like the Dodgers to make it, and then the Braves. I just think they're the most complete team. I felt that way last year, and you're correct. They don't match up well against the Phillies. But let me tell you who looked freaking nasty today. Christopher Sale, okay, former Red Sox, great. He looked, dude, average 95, touch 97 on the fastball, and I'm like, Vaughn Grissom better do good, because Red Sox might get
but here's the thing with Chris Sale. Is he going to be pitching that way in July, much less October? Can he avoid the IL? I mean, if he's healthy, he can still play.
Big time.
But the question with him is, can he hold up over the long haul? That's going to be the question with him.
Dude, they need to trade somebody and just get a 6th guy to eat innings. Just go 6-man. That's what the Dodgers are going to do. They'll go 6-man too. I'm going Dodgers, Braves, and I will not miss a pitch of that, dude.
Yeah.
Who got taking home the pennant?
Well, I said the Phillies. I've got
you did say the Phillies.
Yeah,
I apologize,
I've got the Phillies
Will.
got the Phillies upsetting the Dodgers, and
Man.
again, like I'm gonna ride this horse till she bucks me, and I think the Phillies. I'm telling you, I think the Phillies are the absolute perfectly built playoff team. I think that as long as that rotation is healthy
Uh-huh.
with Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Christopher Sanchez, or whoever else they've got kind of in 3 and 4 and 5, man, I love the way that team is constructed. And let's not sleep on that lineup either. I mean, it's not quite to the level that probably the Dodgers and the Braves are, but
Yeah.
man, I'll I'll take my chances any day. You give me Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Real Muto,
Schwarber.
yeah, Schwarber, Bryson Stott. I I go to bat with those boys pretty much any day. So I do just get me to the playoffs. I don't care where we're seated for the Phillies. And man, I feel like we've got a great shot even against those superpowers.
Yeah. They've definitely done it before. You know what I mean? And that's something for my team that I'm going to pick is the Atlanta Braves. Like, there's a lot of guys on there. Okay. They won in 21. Not everybody was there when that happened.
Right.
Spencer Strider wasn't on the hill. There's some people who it's going to be pretty bright lights. But let's see if they bounce back from last year. I mean, they like you said, I thought that was a perfect way to put it. Like, bad taste in our mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I guarantee you they're hungry. And they're going to be focused, not on games in May and June, but on October. Not that they're not going to be paying attention. It's not like somebody's going to hit the ball to Ronald Acuna and he's going to be like staring in the stands. But like they're motivated and they're motivated to win in October. So let's see. Let's see Max Fried on a contract year do something spectacular. Pretty exciting stuff. Guys, we're going to transition. We're going to wrap this puppy up, but we're going to transition to the National League Awards. We got 3 awards here. I said at the top of the show, Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, and MVP. Who's taking home the Rookie of the Year, Will?
This is a really interesting race this year. I would say I think the easy choice, at least for me, is Jackson Chourio. If he indeed starts the year with the Brewers, plays essentially almost every game. I have to believe he's the favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your eye, though. I mentioned him earlier. Paul Skeens. If the Pirates get off to a good start like they did last year and are there, let's say, through the first 2 months of the season, don't be shocked if Paul Skeens gets the call and he is basically their next. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but let's just say he is their true ace already. Yeah, I think he could make a serious run for it. So I'm going to say Jackson Chourio, but keep your eye. If the Pirates get off to that good start, keep your eye on Paul Skeens. I think he could be special.
Would it surprise you to know that Chourio is 4th on the list of favorites according to Vegas?
That is very interesting to me.
How about number 1, Yoshinobu Yamamoto?
I don't even consider him a rookie.
Jung-Hoo Lee. Well, he's 25, so I mean that's closer to rookie than most. But
he's been playing pro ball though.
I mean that's true, but they started like 17 over there. It's different for sure. Noelvi Marte. I feel more. I definitely see what you're saying, but like when Senga came on last year and they're like he might take it away from Corbin Carroll. I had a problem with that because I'm like Corbin Carroll. This is his first in year 30. That was kind of my thought process there. Noelvi Marte is 3, and then 4, Jackson Chourio, and I'm going to stop there because that's exactly who I picked. I thought Yamamoto maybe, but I thought maybe, hey, they're going to go 6-man rotation. He might not pitch that. He's going to pitch a lot. I don't want to say he's not going to pitch that much, but he might not pitch to the number of innings. For every reason we talked about, they're focused on October.
Right.
He might not pitch the number of innings it would take to win that award. And I think Jackson Chourio, man, everything I read up on this guy, everything I've seen, dude is 5'-tooley.
Yep.
5'-tooley, man, hits the ball hard, runs fast, can hit for average. And dude, I'm telling you, I hate to say this because it's not going to happen every year. It's happened the last couple. We had Julio and we had Corbin. Is Chourio the 3rd in line? Okay. Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's something to think about. Yeah. Cy Young, Will. Who's taking it, buddy?
Man, This is always one of my favorites to try to pinpoint. I think that generally speaking, you can narrow the Cy Young down pretty quickly because it usually goes to a guy on a really good team. I mean, in order for somebody on a non-contending team to win the Cy Young, like it is, I mean, they have to be like insanely better than everybody else.
Yeah.
So, you think about all the really, really good teams that we've been laying out there,
Mm-hmm.
and I keep coming back to one guy. I think
You
it's
want to say it
Zach
at the
Wheeler.
same time?
I think it's
Oh,
Zach Wheeler.
Wheeler.
I think Zach
Ooh.
Wheeler is, I said it earlier, he's pitching for another contract to cash it in one more time. We see how insanely good he is, especially in the postseason. I think he's going to bring that postseason mindset to every start this year because he knows he's pitching for that contract. I think Zach Wheeler is going to have an incredible year as long as he stays healthy. I think guys in the running, I think take your pick of the Dodgers guys. If they have good years, they'll all be in the running. I think a guy like Spencer Strider obviously is going to get a lot of headlines pitching for the Braves. But I just have a really, really strong feeling that Zach Wheeler is going to have an incredible year, like a special year. And so that's my, and don't forget Zach Gallen. I meant to say Zach Gallen. But I just think Zach Wheeler's gonna have a special year. So that's who I'm going with.
Dude, that's a great pick. He's number 2 in odds. I went with the number 1 guy, Spencer Strider. I hate to be front running, but like when it's a slam dunk, as I feel like it could potentially be. I mean, barring injury, the strikeout numbers are disgusting, and he has refined this curveball that is just gonna, speed up the bats of the hitters already, more than they already are. There is a lot to like about what's going on, and obviously the best win potential in baseball potentially down in Hot Atlanta. So I went Spencer Strider, but I love your pick, dude, and I love that reason that dude, he's trying to go get paid. Red Sox need an ace.
One more time.
Let's do it one more time, man. Red Sox need an ace. You can't have Lucas Giolito starting opening day in 2025. Okay,
hey, that's gonna be my American League Cy Young pick, Lucas Giolito.
Heck to the yeah! I love that pick. Totally makes sense, and it really makes sense to people who are listening to this right now because we give good advice. Just kidding, everybody. Hey, MVP of the National League. Will, let's take this puppy home. Who's winning the big hardware?
This one's really tough for me. Here's kind of how I see it. I think that the three-headed monster in Los Angeles is going to split up all the votes.
Yeah.
I think the other three-headed monster in Atlanta is also going to split up the votes.
Yeah.
So I'm going back to Philadelphia, and I'm going to say Bryce Harper wins the MVP.
Whoa, I like it. I
think Bryce Harper is going to have. I think a lot of people are going to look at Bryce Harper's stat line, whether they're drafted in their fantasy league or, just looking at stats going into the baseball season, and they're going to see what he did last year. And some people are going to forget that he missed a little bit of time and he was not yet 100% when he did start playing. But man, the second half, especially those last couple of months of the season, he started looking like Bryce Harper again. And again, I said this earlier, I think that whole Phillies team is going to be on a mission after what happened to him last year. I think Bryce Harper is their best player, with all due respect to Trey Turner and the rest of those guys. And I think Bryce Harper is going to have an incredible year, and I think he's going to win MVP.
I think it's a great call. I didn't even have him in my mind. Let's see real quick where he's landing the MVP odds. I thought I had it up. Let's see for 2024. I again went to not football, not NFL. Patrick Mahomes. If you're curious, that's going to be the guy. No big surprise there. I mean, shoot. How about Soto and Judge at the tippy top? Wait, no, that's American League. You know
that's
what?
American.
I was like, wait a second, where is Acuna? Here we go. Harper's 5, dude. I don't hate it. I think it's a beautiful call, and I think it's got a ton of potential to happen. I mean, he won in 21, correct? And then he won in 15.
Yep.
with because he's 2-time. He's
Yep.
a freaking stud. I hate to be front running. Okay, you know who I picked though. I'm trying to go. I'm trying to go straight down the gold board of predictions here and crush it. I said Ronald Acuna. If he stays healthy, he's gonna steal at least 60 bases. And I know he had an incredible year. Dude, he almost won the batting title. 337 average. How many? I think I wrote it down. 41 home runs, 73 steals. Dude, he scored 149 runs. I think who was it? Craig Biggio. Somebody in the early 2000s scored like 152 runs, and no one has touched coming close to that until Acuna did it this year. Or last year. I love what you said. And I don't bet on these things because I'd be too nervous watching. But let me tell you something. I think we got two good bets there. I'm going with RAJ. Nobody calls him that, but somebody should. Will. Hey, this is man. It's been fun, dude.
How many? Let me ask you this: how many RBIs is Shohei Ohtani gonna get?
Infinity symbol. He's just.
I was just thinking about this the other day. Like. I'm assuming that he's gonna bat third behind Mookie and Freddie.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming that. I haven't seen like the projected lineup, but it just makes sense because the Dodgers have always had Mookie, Freddie at the top of that lineup, and I assume they keep it that way. So if they do, how many RBIs is Ohtani gonna get? Because guys are gonna have to pitch to him.
Yeah.
Because those two guys are going to set the table more often than not. And he's put up video game numbers in a fairly putrid Angels lineup.
Yep.
And now you get him in this Dodgers lineup behind those two future Hall of Famers. And I can't.
Dude, he won dotted last year.
If Ohtani stays healthy, it could be. I wanted to say Ohtani, but I just felt like I'd just be picking the obvious choice. I don't like to do that. But I am just kind of curious to see what numbers he puts up in that lineup. I think it's going to be something absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. I think so it was confusing me because he batted second today, but I think originally Dave Roberts said it would likely be Mookie, Freddie, Ohtani.
That makes sense.
Will Smith.
Yeah.
Dude, talk about a gross lineup, man. They're going to be fun to watch.
There's some great. I know we need to move forward, but you think about some of the great lineups now in Major League Baseball. Like obviously, we've touched on the National League today. You think about. Obviously the Dodgers, the Braves, those come to mind right off the bat. But, even you think about, we mentioned the Phillies, we mentioned the Diamondbacks.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk about the Reds lineup, just pure talent, just excitement,
Potential for sure.
Yeah, top to bottom with those young guys. And, and then in the American League, we'll obviously talk about the American League with the next episode. But, with the Yankees now that Soto's there, Baltimore, Texas, Houston. Think about some of these just super powerful lineups now that we have in the major leagues, and it's pretty exciting. Major League Baseball's in a really, really good spot from an offensive standpoint now.
Yeah, dude, it's great. I just need to get it, get in a better spot by a calendar standpoint. I need to be like late March. Right now, dude. I'm real excited, man. Dude, Will, 70 episodes. It's special. It's pretty cool. I feel like I'm going to say this every 10 episodes.
Yeah.
For the end of all time. Anything you want to say to the people before we head on out of here?
Man, you said it. 70 is pretty awesome. It's pretty incredible that we're getting to this point as far as like the longevity of it. I think it's awesome. I just want to thank all the listeners out there for sticking with us, and it's been a lot of fun for sure. And man, we're about to embark on regular season number 2 for the show, and man, I can't be more excited. I think it's going to be pretty awesome, and hopefully we continue to get better and better at the more of these we do.
No doubt, man. That's what I was just thinking. It's like I need to go back to listen to one and just laugh because I'm sure it sounds totally different. Hey, reach out to us on Twitter at BTH_Cody and at Will Sism. Check us out on YouTube. Bring in the heat. If you want to see me wear a Dodger hat, don't do it. Claire's mom, don't do it. She wouldn't appreciate that. That's not what she would like. But hey, guys, we appreciate you. Hang in there. Opening day is almost here. But until next time, thanks for listening to episode 70 of Bringing the Heat.